Few actors have been lucky enough to feature in a universally acclaimed movie, and fewer still have appeared in many. But it does happen. From major movie stars to little-known character performers, these are the actors who have the most movies with a 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes. In 1959, Alec Guiness was awarded a knighthood by Elizabeth II for his contribution to the field of arts, just in case his Academy Award, his BAFTA, his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and his 9 perfect movies on Rotten Tomatoes weren't testament enough to his talent. Like many other esteemed actors, Alec Guiness enjoyed working with one particular director. The British thespian was a preferred collaborator for the acclaimed director David Lean, often appearing in his legendary screen adaptations of Charles Dickens films such as Great Expectations and Oliver Twist. Both of these films are among Guinness's 100% movies, which also includes 2 of the darkest comedies ever made, The Lady Killers and Kind Hearts and Coronets. Of course, Guiness will forever be remembered as Obi-Wan Kenobi in George Lucas's original Star Wars trilogy. But that movie isn't one of the 9, boasting an impressive yet imperfect 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Judy Garland may well be one of the most famous actresses of all time. Though she's perhaps best known as Dorothy in 1939's The Wizard of Oz, which sits at 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, Garland has appeared in a total of 9 films with a perfect score, including the Christmas classic Meet Me in St. Louis and other beloved musicals such as Summer Stock and Till the Clouds Roll By. Garland is yet another critically renowned star who took on a new name during her youth, in this case from Frances Ethel Gum. While performing with her siblings as the singing Gum Sisters, a fellow performer suggested they change the name. The Gum Sisters became the Garland Sisters, and Judy chose her new first name based on inspiration from a Hoagie Carmichael song. Unfortunately, this was just the first of many demands showbiz would come to place on Garland. In the end, Garland was overcome by the pressures of the industry, the abusive nature of the people she worked with, and the substance abuse that followed. She died of an accidental overdose in 1969. Having been forced to fend for herself at a very young age, it makes sense that Barbara Stanwyck would be best known for playing complex and independent women on screen. She began working at just 13 years old, first as a chorus girl, then a nightclub dancer, and finally with touring companies. She then landed her first Broadway play in 1926 with The Noose, in which she played the role of a cabaret dancer. Her leading role in the 1927 run of Burlesque earned Stanwyck her first movie offers, marking the beginning of a long career in Hollywood, one that included such films as The Lady Eve, which is just one of her 9 films with a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Stanwyck was one of the most versatile, adaptable actresses in the history of cinema. She even changed her name at the alleged behest of a producer on The Noose, having been born Ruby Catherine Stevens. Because she was known for that versatility, rather than the movie star glamour that was the typical of female leads at the time, she was often passed over for actresses like Bette Davis or Jean Arthur. But none of those stars ever appeared in more truly great movies than this self-sufficient queen of stage and screen. Born Samuel Jones in 1898, the man later known as Wallace Ford ran away from an abusive home and joined a vaudeville troupe traveling through Canada. As a teenager, he journeyed south by train hopping to the US in search of a better life with his friend, who was actually named Wallace Ford. Tragically, Ford was run over by a locomotive, and Jones then took the name of his dead friend as tribute. And what a tribute it was. From theater troupes to Broadway to Hollywood, Ford made a home in the entertainment industry just as he made a home in America. He became known as a tough but friendly and quick-witted comic character who starred in over 150 TV series and films, 9 of which were 100% loved by critics. These included Alfred Hitchcock's Shadow of a Doubt and the surprisingly dark Jimmy Stewart Western, The Man from Laramie. Gary Cooper's characters were often soft-spoken and stoic, yet always heroic. This unique persona led the man born as Frank James Cooper to become a much-loved star in the entertainment industry. With his iconic drawl and imposing height, Cooper was the perfect pick for the Western genre, so it should come as no surprise that titles like The Westerner, The Virginian, and The Plainsman are all riding tall in the 100% Rotten Tomatoes saddle. He also starred in war films such as Beau Geste and comedies like Ball of Fire, but if you really want to understand Cooper's charm, you have to look outside his 100% lineup and focus on 1941's Meet John Doe. In a roundabout way, this movie says the most about the types of characters Cooper portrayed. Rather than the elite Hollywood actor whose star power leaked into every role, audiences got to know Cooper as the everyman, the literal John Doe, who reflected the dreams and aspirations of the everyday average American. It makes sense that Humphrey Bogart be closely associated with the notion of Hollywood perfection, considering he's the iconic face of the 1942 film so frequently cited as the epitome of good cinema, Casablanca. In fact, renowned critic Roger Ebert once suggested Casablanca appears on more best films of all time lists than any other movie. Surprisingly enough, however, Casablanca scores 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, meaning it doesn't quite make it into Bogart's 100 club. Still, he has an impressive 11 perfect scoring movies to make up for it. One of those films, 1941's The Maltese Falcon, catapulted Bogart to a whole new level of success. Having slowly worked his way through B-movies and played supporting roles in bigger flicks, Bogart was suddenly a leading man, and he'd soon become known as one of the all-time greats. It's interesting to note, however, that he had an exactly equal number of 100% rated films before and after The Maltese Falcon, a testament to the fact that he'd always been an asset to the productions in which he featured, whether he was a leading man or not.
He's looking at you, kid.
Funnily enough, the legendary actor C. Audrey Smith started out as a cricketer, and the sportsmanlike conduct of the game easily translated to the gentlemanly characters he'd become known for in Hollywood. Smith appeared in 11 perfect scoring movies during his career, such as The Four Feathers and Then There Were None. And in the majority of them, he portrayed either an aristocrat or a military officer. Indeed, it seems like Smith never quite forgot his roots. Even after arriving in California, he insisted that his English colleagues all join the Hollywood Cricket Club and make a point to show up and play too. In addition to being renowned for the roles he played, Smith was also famous for his facial hair, which included a set of bushy eyebrows and an impressive handlebar mustache. Along with his cricket obsession, that impressive stash fed back into the persona of the Hollywood gentleman. And sure, maybe that meant Smith was a little typecast, but it clearly served him well during his 34-year career. From his early beginnings at the Omaha Community Playhouse, Henry Fonda rose to great prominence in the entertainment industry and eventually played in 11 films that received 100% approval ratings from critics on Rotten Tomatoes. He appeared in a number of productions now regarded as classics, such as The Lady Eve and the iconic courtroom thriller 12 Angry Men. His working relationship with John Ford also produced a good few films with 100% ratings, including The Grapes of Wrath, Young Mr. Lincoln, and My Darling Clementine. Fonda's range was exceptionally wide, not just in terms of acting ability, but in the projects he featured in, too. In fact, he's the only actor with a number of 100% films in the double digits who also appeared in a film with a 0% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, the much-maligned 1977 movie Tentacles. But Fonda's legacy is carried by his family as well as his films. He's the father of decorated actress and activist Jane Fonda, as well as actor and director Peter Fonda. His Rotten Tomatoes profile describes him as having a benign paternal presence, and despite being somewhat distant as an actual father, he clearly instilled a genuine love of acting into his children. Audiences saw the actor and military officer James Stewart as the embodiment of the ideal American. Something of a nebulous accolade today, but back then, it made him one of the most popular movie stars around. He was clearly a hit with the critics, too, having appeared in a dozen pictures that are currently 100% favorably reviewed. The moral rectitude of his early roles may have been part of what made the moral obscurity of his later roles all the more striking. Though they aren't counted among his perfect scoring pieces, Stewart starred in a number of legendary Hitchcock films, often as a far shadier character than those he was better known for playing. That's also true for The Naked Spur, a 100% scoring western that found Stewart playing a bounty hunter with a serious dark side. This trend continued with movies such as The Man from Laramie and Winchester 73, which cemented Stewart's reputation as one of the most versatile and popular actors of his era. One of the most recognizable names in cinema history also boasts a whopping 12 movies with a 100% Rotten Tomatoes score. Marion Robert Morrison, known professionally by his screen name John Wayne, is almost synonymous with the American Western, and he was a surefire box office hit for many decades. None of this might ever have happened, however, if Marion Robert Morrison, the football player, hadn't suffered a career-ending injury. With his sporting dreams dashed, Morrison turned to Hollywood for his shot at greatness. His very first leading role was, of course, in a Western, 1930's The Big Trail. But the picture which made him famous didn't arrive until 9 years later. John Ford's 1939 movie Stagecoach featured Wayne in the role of the Ringo Kid and subsequently made him a household name. Fittingly, both of these films have earned 100% approval ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, along with other such classics as Rio Bravo, Red River, and El Dorado. Ward Bond has the most 100% scoring movies of any actor in history, which appears to be one of the great benefits of being a character actor. Bond didn't often play the lead in his films, but his status as an indispensable supporting character led to the record breadth of his career in universally beloved films. As a result, Bond has played in a stunning 15 films with 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, including The Grapes of Wrath, The Maltese Falcon, and Young Mr. Lincoln. In particular, he starred in almost 24 movies alongside his former football teammate John Wayne, and often worked with preferred collaborators such as John Ford and Frank Capra. On top of that, he has appeared in a number of all-time classics with slightly less than perfect scores, such as It's a Wonderful Life and Gone with the Wind. So while Ward Bond may not have been the most famous actor to have worked in Hollywood, it's unlikely anyone will ever quite manage to match his incredible achievement. Check out one of our newest videos right here, plus even more Looper videos about your favorite movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.